who has an interest in managing, owning and using public accessible green spaces. We support landowners and managers to network, collaborate, share and develop good practice, and maximise resources by running networks, holding events, developing guidance, lobbying, advocacy benchmarking, and wider sector development in key areas such as fundraising and skills. I'll start by saying a few words about who owns and manages London's green spaces. It's a complex mix with the 32 boroughs and the City of London, major charities like the Royal Parks and the London Wildlife Trust, independent park trusts like Gunnersbury Park, Crystal Palace and Chiswick House and Gardens, and development corporations like the LDC who run the Olympic Park, managers of public sector estates, housing associations, NHS Foundation trusts, Commons conservators, universities and many more. With the demands on green spaces in Greater London, such a fragmented mix of land management, in some cases with multiple organisations managing multiple sites in one location, with different contractors, different quality expectations in different ways and for different audiences. It's not conducive to consistency, joined up thinking or collaboration, but then trying to reduce this fragmentation and improve consistency across London is one of the reasons we exist as an organisation. One of the ways that we do this is through a benchmarking exercise for London Local Authority Park Services called the Good Parks Report that we launched in 2017. The report assesses how London Borough Park Services perform against a number of key criteria, with the aim to promote good practice, raise quality standards, and help lobby to protect park budgets and resources. In the 2018 report, we asked boroughs whether any had integrated weed management programmes in place for parks and green spaces. None had. This kicked off a programme of consultation where we established what London landowners and managers needed in order to drive forward the integrated weed management agenda. Working with our partners at the Amenity Forum, we developed a three-pronged suite of resources for our respective memberships, which launched in March 2020. In late 2024, we received a commission from Defra to fund a comprehensive update, bringing it up to date with modern standards, regulations and practices. This update is allowing us to relaunch the Integrated Weed Management Reference Guide, freely available to organisations across the UK. And I'd like to thank Defra for making this possible, and for our partners at the Amenity Forum and Kersten for your support, subject matter expertise and commitment through this updating process and relaunch. The stakeholder engagement that we undertook told us that pure guidance is just not enough. And as a result, we developed, as mentioned, that three-pronged suite of resources. Guidance on integrated weed management is provided through the Integrated Weed Management Reference Guide in the middle there. And with additional support provided by two customisable templates. One is a policy template which helps anchor the development of integrated weed management plans into an overarching departmental or organisational policy. And the other is a plan template, which is an editable template customisable to different landscape types and features to help guide the planning, implementation and review of weed management activities. Before introducing the reference guide in more detail, I'll just start by saying that there are many people in this room far more knowledgeable about different weed management practices and techniques than I am. So whilst I won't be going into any of the specific techniques or practices, I'm positive that any questions that you may have on that will be answered by the amazing breadth of experience we've got in the room. The reference guide itself equips those using it with a toolbox of methods to prevent, tolerate or suppress weed presence. It is an interactive PDF covering what weeds are, introduces a range of weed management methods and provides advice, signposting and links. It also adapts the 6 principles of integrated weed management set out in the National Action Plan to underpin the practical application of integrated weed management prevention, monitoring, thresholds, intervention and control, managing resistance, and review and evaluation. It introduces a framework approach as a flow diagram, allowing for accurate, detailed assessment before moving to identify suitable management approaches. It encourages users to first assess whether intervention is necessary, and if so, to prioritise prevention and non-chemical measures wherever possible. This process helps ensure that any weed management activities are proportionate, targeted, and environmentally responsible, and that regular re-evaluation remains central to the overall strategy. It also goes into detail on different methods of weed management, providing explanatory notes on each different method, consideration, pros and cons, benefits and limitations, and other useful information. Starting with toleration, it moves to preventative measures such as detritus management, weed growth, barriers, and physical hard and soft landscaping changes that can be considered. It covers both reactive and proactive management methods, some of which may be familiar and some which may be new, and some which we'll see outside later. It is non-technical, is written in plain English without jargon, and is designed to be accessible to anyone irrespective of whether they have previous knowledge or experience of integrated weed management or even green space management itself. Where relevant, it references specific training or legislative requirements that might need consideration, in particular where complex machinery is to be used or professional development activities that might need to be needed for the use of plant protection products. Additional information is found in the comprehensive appendices, including sections on managing aquatic weeds, signposting to training opportunities such as those from Lantra and Basis. We'll be hearing from David at Lantra later, and I believe Basis are also in the room as well. I saw a badge somewhere, so wave, there you go. You're sitting together, it's pretty apt. Very good. And we'll be hearing later from Lantra in today's agenda. It also links to and references the responsible use of chemicals, which is closely linked to the Amenity Forum's golden rules for amenity management. And again, there's a couple of Amenity Forum representatives in the room today as well. It includes links and references to all external regulatory requirements, accreditations, and quality assurance schemes. We feature a number of case studies featuring real-world examples of weed control treatments, including Cambridge City Council, who are up after me on the agenda, as well as the work of Cormac Solutions, which was work with Cornwall Council, and the North Lincolnshire Council example on the long-term benefits of detritus removal that Sean referenced earlier. We've included information on the weediness scale for slab footways developed out of the Defra funded Planet project in 2015, linking to external resources where appropriate. So we've seen how the reference guide provides a toolkit and body of evidence and information on integrated weed management good practice, methods and considerations. Now we turn to the policy template. The policy template is a customizable document with editable sections that can be adapted to suit the individual needs and requirements of your own organisation and service. It provides an overarching strategic framework that landowners and those managing public realm spaces can adapt to demonstrate their commitment to responsible, integrated and non-chemical first weed management. It supports alignment with the National Action Plan and wider environmental goals by embedding integrated weed management practices into everyday land management practices across all managed spaces. It references and provides an executive summary of the key legislation and their respective impacts on the organisation, and an assessment of the impact of adopting this policy will have on a number of areas, including compliance and governance, financial and sustainability. It also acknowledges, introduces and references all other relevant legislation with a brief executive summary on how each may impact. It can be top and tailed with your organisation's respective logos and date of policy adoption, and anything in it can be edited, amended and changed to suit your own organisational requirements. So we've seen the reference guide, which provides guidance and toolkit of methods. We've also seen the policy template, which helps anchor the strategy around integrated weed management into an overarching departmental policy. The final piece of the resource is the plan template. The plan template supports the implementation of policy and plans, underpinned by the information contained in the reference guide. Again, it is a customisable and editable document that can be used to assess different weed management approaches across different landscape types or amenity spaces. It takes the user through a range of prompts and asks those completing it to consider what are the desired outcomes. Can the weeds identified be tolerated? Can they be designed out? What weed control methods have already been used or tried already? What was the rationale for using that and for trialling that? And what were the results of those trials or previous attempts? It then goes on to help determine what future methods could be used based on the results of the past, and provides a mechanism for the medium to long-term monitoring, recording and valuation. It can be a helpful exercise to carry out with different groups, including those from other directorates within the local authority, but also elected members, friends groups and other user groups that may be having an interest in the space. It encourages consistent documentation across different landscape elements or spaces. It helps coordinate actions across contractors and volunteer groups, and helps those carrying out to consider alternative approaches before chemical use. And then, as I mentioned earlier, really does support the long-term monitoring and evaluation of methods used. Both this and the policy template are designed to promote regular review, adaptation and consideration of alternatives to encourage a non-chemical first approach, but they also ensure continuity in the event of personnel changes and organisational restructurings. So, to sum up, we've now seen the reference guide, policy template and the plan, covering both the guidance, the strategy setting and supporting the practical delivery. But it's not just us that are saying that it's worth using. Here are just a few quotes from organisations who have been using the first edition, which was obviously launched back in 2020. And it just leaves me to say, this is how you get your copy. It went live, thanks to my colleague Janice over there, an hour ago, so it should be live and ready to download. And thanks to Defra, as I said, it's now freely available. So do please scan the QR code up there, pick up one of the flyers that we have on our stand in there, and we'll put them out on a couple of the tables at the break. And yeah, happy to take any questions. No?
Hiya. Kersten UK Council. What sort of benchmarking is taking place so far around integrated weed management? I mean, you've got this that you're now publicising. Is there a plan to bring the relevant councils together to look at benchmarking and see what's successful? Because the questions I think I'm trying to ask at the moment is the economies of scale of all this, and whether or not there's better ways of working together across councils to try and pull resources together where it's possible, especially politically. It can be done if there's a will.
Yeah, no, definitely. So the only benchmark that we do around this is really through the Good Parts report, which is just quite simply asking, do you have a policy in place? Do you have a program in place? What are you actually doing? So we aren't collecting that body of data. We do have the data on what local authorities in London have implemented the policy or using the guidance. But what we first need to do is kind of expand the uptake of this as well, both within our networks but also beyond it as well. All the work that we do and the action groups we operate, which are very time limited, very sort of specific theme things, they're all driven from the organisations that support us, and obviously you guys we're working with you guys anyway. So I would say yes, bring that to the table. We can definitely do something on that. And it would be good to get a little bit more kind of consistency and collaboration across different boroughs. So yeah, let's pick that up at the break.
Collaboration.
I'm around all day, so if anyone's got any other questions, then yeah, you can see me around. But yeah, thanks for listening, and yeah.